Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Enchanted Numerology Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Rose, a Life Path 7, here to bring you all the magic of numerology. And today we have an incredible guest. I know you are going to love her. She's so amazing. She is a TED Talk speaker, the host of the Finding Grace podcast, a meditation mentor and diversity model, and an overall just incredible human. We have Hannah Wallace. Yay, welcome.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here, Erica.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We've been chatting and I just love your energy. I think you are so amazing and so incredible. So why don't you just introduce yourself to everyone and tell them a bit about like what it is that you do and how you got to be the person that is doing this.
Wow. So it's actually been a very long journey to get here. And I'd like to think, I mean, I was always into kind of spirituality and all that kind of thing. That started at a really young age. Like I would say like 10 or 11, I had this awareness to spirituality. And that kind of grew from angels, aromatherapy, crystals, yoga, tantra. And so I had this like foundation and I was like really into it. And it was kind of at the time, we're talking like the 90s. Like this was like, witchy stuff. It was all a bit kind of still weird then, but I was happy being the weird one. And kind of everyone around me kind of got on board with it. They just knew that was about me. So they kind of were like, okay, it's just how she is. And then when I was 17, I got really sick, like quite drastically and quite quickly. I guess it's a case of I was young and I wasn't listening to my body. The warning signs were there. And I think in America, you call it mono, but I got mono basically.
Oh, wow.
But I got it really severe. We're talking like where my spleen. And at the time, it kind of took me by surprise because I was this wild, just kind of wild child that was like living her best life. I was kind of like, I was working hard at school, but I was also like plenty of playtime too. And so it was kind of, I was living life to the full, shall we say. So we're talking like overnight, I went from that to being stuck in bed for months and months on end. And it kind of, I think something like that, when it happens, it kind of blindsided me. It stripped me back. Suddenly, like my friends were coming to see me and I was just this shell of a person. Like my mum said, like people left crying sometimes. It was, I think it was because they were so used to this kind of slightly naughty, mischievous person. And I'd lost my entire, I guess, vitality. And so my mum and I kind of missed loads of school that year. My mum and I were like, right, let's get on a mission because she's kind of open to alternative stuff. We were realizing the doctors weren't very helpful. So we started to do some alternative stuff and I kind of got well and kind of managed to then complete the rest of the next school year. But I wasn't feeling right. Something was really up. This was the 2000s at the time. This kind of like this it was a very different time. Like we are very informed now with things. Like it was like you're walking blindly in the dark. But we also were getting the reason that doctors weren't being particularly helpful. They weren't kind of saying there was nothing wrong, but they were just being like, I don't know what we can do for you. And I felt very depressed. And I was trying all the different things that I knew. We were doing the alternative stuff. And I was just getting worse. And then everybody left school. Everybody started going traveling, doing all the fun things. I was still sick. And this carried on. This carried on for years. We were, with me continually trying everything. Eventually, I got told I kind of had like a chronic fatigue, ME situation. So we looked at that and we were like, okay, let's work with that. We can work with this. So we kind of, again, continuing to try everything under the sun. But I think to the point where it became a little bit unhealthy, if I'm honest with you, into the point where I stopped having any goodness of like happiness. It was like I was so obsessed with healing that I almost lost living as well.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think I had a real moment where a therapist I was seeing was like, I think you need to kind of let go a bit. And you know what? This isn't ideal, but bring some more joy into your life and stuff. So I did actually take that on board. And at the same time, a friend of mine in this kind of community that I was in basically said, I think there's some more stuff going on with you. Like, I don't think they've got this right. So we're talking like nearly 10 years in now. And
Wow.
eventually I got told I had something called POTS, which is quite well known now, compared to what it was then. So this is years ago. And then that led me to getting this diagnosis of something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a genetic connective tissue condition. And we found out that somebody else in my family had it. It comes down my mother line. So it was all starting to make sense, because a lot of the time, to be honest, Erica, I thought I was going a bit crazy, because I was like,
Aw.
I'm trying everything. Like, what is wrong with me? And it was kind of like one of those moments of like, okay, now I know I can work with this. So I think when I got to that point, I was like, okay, I've learned a lot along the way at this point, because obviously I'd gone down every alternative route you could possibly imagine. And I'd had a lot of time on my hands. I'd been alone a lot. And so I think from that point, I was, really deepening my connection with things. I still wasn't kind of out there sharing anything at this point. Um, and I think I was starting to reclaim life a bit. Before we can start to share, we have to reclaim, right? So I think I
Yeah.
started to find that balance. I started to find things that helped, and I started to live my life a bit more. And then as time was going on, a lot of people around me were like, because I'd often go to like, spiritual events, maybe talks, book tours of people. And a few people started to say, like, you'd be really good at this stuff. Like, you say good stuff, Hannah, like, and I was like, oh, I don't know, like, because I had this image of, how can I do this? I'm not healed. So I had this narrative that was going on. And I think in the end, I had to meet that where it was at and be like, no one's perfect. Everybody's living different stories. Imagine if somebody could see somebody like me and they were going through that and they heard this stuff. And I thought, imagine if this version of me could have seen this 10 years ago, how it would have helped that really depressed young girl. The girl that
Yeah.
had to, by herself, practically in the dark, choose to kind of, okay, if I can't control my body, I can work with my mind. I was on my own a lot of the time in all those years. And so I thought, do you know what? Maybe there's something in this. So I decided to start kind of diving into this idea, showing up more. And I thought, do you know what? I've just got to go in and do this. So I decided to make a website, start writing a blog, and do a podcast. And this idea of finding grace had been kind of lingering around quite a lot, because I thought, this is my story. I've had to find grace continuously. I've lived this. This isn't me just coming out with a concept. This is somebody that's at this point had, 10 plus, 15 plus years of experience. So I thought, do you know what? I have like kind of connections within this world. I'm going to start this podcast. And our mutual friend, Emma, was one of the first guests, and she was always, encouraging as well. So that's where it really began. And I think once I got that momentum and motion to start doing this, it was kind of a weird thing. It wasn't a case of where I felt it was almost like I was suddenly all there at once. It wasn't like a case of, you sometimes really see people's journeys, because some people said, it's like you've always been here doing this. And I said, well, I was, it just wasn't publicly. I was talking, I was, doing all the spiritual stuff for years, but now I'm just sharing what I know. So so that's what led me here today. And I think the other thing that's felt important for me is to be that representation of disability.
Yeah.
And to go through that. But actually the kind of the weird hand that life dealt me a couple of years ago was actually I was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's, which is kind of a very insane thing considering everything that I'd been through. As you can, I've just shared this story with you, and then I mean, can you imagine, like, I went and had these tests because I had this tremor. And to be honestly, Erica, I genuinely thought it was something called an essential tremor. I didn't go into this like concerned, really. I just thought, okay, this is, it's no big deal. It can be dealt with. So I ended up getting this diagnosis. And I mean, not that I say it's lucky, But the years of experience that I did have of dealing with all these things, I think set me up to be able to process this in a way that probably if you hadn't have had that, it would be like a shock to the system. But I think I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I have a choice here. I've been here before. How I choose to deal with this, how I choose to look at this is going to be everything. And I'm going to choose to live. I'm going to choose love. And I can do this. You know what I mean? Like life is moving forward. Like there's a lot of advances in medicine, but also I think it's how we live, right? And
Yeah.
the weird thing was that had been building in me anyway. So I think that moving forward, being able to kind of say to people, like, you don't have to write yourself off. Like you could be presented with, you know, what's a pretty tough situation, and we can make a choice to how we live with that. And you know, the weirdest irony of all of this, 2 days after I got this diagnosis, I turn on the TV at Glastonbury and Chris Martin is the headliner there. And Chris Martin brings out Michael J. Fox, who, as we all know, has
Yeah.
Parkinson and Back to the Future and all of that. And I was like, oh my God, universe.
Oh my
Are
God.
you
That's
like,
wild.
it's wild because like, I was just like, this is crazy. But I was like, do you know what? Even just seeing that, knowing that he's been on this massively long journey and how he's still showing up, I was like, this is my reminder that, you know, yeah, I don't have total control of life. None of us do, but I can choose to how I can help myself. So that's where I am now. And obviously I got the opportunity a year ago to do my TED talk. And that was a really great moment to be able to get on a stage. And obviously my tremor is, I'm quite tremor dominant, so it's quite visible. But you know what? I was happy to be able to go up there and like be as me, because I thought at the end of the day, I want someone else who might be in that situation to think, do you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. So that's where
Wow.
we are
Yeah.
now.
That is amazing. Wow. Thank you for sharing all of that. That was so inspiring. And I just love that, it's incredible what a light you are. And I think it's so beautiful that like you have been dealt something so hard, but like you said, you're still choosing joy and choosing to live and choosing to encourage other people, like taking the hardships that you've gotten and being like, you know what, let me show that other people who are going through this, that they're not alone in supporting it. And I think that's so beautiful and so amazing and inspiring, because that would knock so many people down, and rightfully so,
And
rightfully so.
I definitely believe that. And I always think that if somebody's listening and they're like, I don't think I could handle that, I get that, because,
Yeah.
you know, I always say to people, I've had all this experience behind me. If you hadn't, it would be horrific, you know.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's just so admirable. Like you're such a beautiful light, and I love that you are, making the best to really help people. So that's incredible. And that really actually segues us perfectly into your numerology, because you, as you know, and I know you like numerology, we've discussed numerology and you
I
know a
love
bit
it.
about it. But so your life path is a life path 11, which is a master number, and that you embody the master number perfectly, especially in 11, because 11 is like a higher vibration of the one energy, which is a leader. And it is also a higher vibration of two energy as well, which is like collaborations, other people, peace, balance. Life Path 11 is somebody who has to step into their own leadership and own their life and use their experiences to inspire others and finding their own inner peace on a deeper level, which is exactly what you are doing. And Life Path 11's, any master number, they tend to have a bit more trauma, more hardships, but they get higher rewards as well too. So it's like you've had all these struggles, but like you were a TED Talk speaker and you're getting to be on bigger platforms to be able to help people. So it is very much that master number energy. So yeah, so how do you feel about your life path 11?
I mean, I think, I've also heard as well, isn't it that you tend to come into yourself a little bit later on in life?
Yeah, that could be too as well. Yeah, it all depends. Everyone's a little different. Some people might have that master number energy like from their childhood and on, but definitely it is like a longer, more arduous journey. But again, you kind of get like a higher reward.
I mean, I definitely feel that. And I think I didn't actually knew what it meant, but many years ago, my friend's mum, who's was really in spirituality and was a little bit of a mentor to me years ago, and I didn't even know what it was. I remember, I think I was like 21. She'd said, "Oh, you're a life path 11," and at the time, again, I just remembered it, and then I kind of went on and forgot it, but. When I hear you say that, I'm like, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, you are. And an 11 too is also a master manifester. Because think about 11, like there's a reason we all say like 11, 11, make a wish. Do you guys have that in the UK? Because I know you do like the military
Yeah,
time. Do you still have
we
11, 11?
we do have 11:11. Yeah, we do. I know we have different times, but I think many of us now who are into this, we're all like 11:11.
I love that. That's so fun. But yeah, so it's like you also within you have this higher vibration and a higher capacity to like master manifesting and to like really get into alignment and to just like call in everything you wish and like also inspire others that like, oh, look, Hannah can manifest all of this. Hannah's doing this. Like I can do it too. So I love that. Is there anything like really fun that you have ever manifested?
So a really good friend of mine jokes that I'm really good at manifesting things through other people bringing things to me, opportunities. She jokes about this. I would say, yeah, I think along the way, sometimes it's maybe there's been intentional for definite. But I think I've definitely been like, okay, especially as the last, the latter kind of maybe like 5 or 6 years, I've been intentional. But I think pre to that, because I've always been into this, there's always been this kind of, I wish that, and kind of bringing things in. And when I look back at things in my life, like I remember years ago, now, it's a case of we live and we learn, right? There were certain things I wasn't particularly specific in, but I was in this relationship and the relationship itself wasn't the best, but the kind of concepts around it that I'd made this vision book, not a board, a book. And what I realized one day was actually I'd manifested so much in this vision book, right? But there were certain things, like I say, that I hadn't been quite specific in. And I think we learn along the way, right? And I think now I think about feeling more. I think about how my nervous system would have the capacity to hold it. I think about all of these things a lot more. And I'd like to think, actually, weirdly, the relationship that I'm in now, I would like to think I kind of brought that to me because I think I was like, right, you know what? If I'm going to do something like this, I need it to be in alignment with me and to feel good. So I think I kind of put it out there and I was kind of happy being kind of floating around having my own fun because I've always kind of veered to that way sometimes in my life as well. But actually somebody came along through doing my podcast, ironically,
Amazing. I love that.
and we kind of gelled and we both looked back and actually he's a life path 11 too,
No
and
way.
we are 11:11. But the craziest thing is on my birthday, the 15th of February 2022, he wrote a list of his dream woman, and the only thing on that list that didn't come true was he wanted brown hair, but everything else on there, I mean, yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my God, and on your birthday. So he sensed your energy. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, and he
That's
only
crazy.
realized, I think, a year later in like 2023, one day when he was looking through his old journals,
Uh-huh.
and he was like, how wild is this? And we weren't even looking at the time we met. But yeah, I've definitely had some interesting and wonderful manifestations along the way. Um, and I'm grateful for that from travel experiences. Like, I think when I look at my mum and I, we'd always wanted to go on a trip to India, for instance. And we did kind of have
Cool.
this amazing, very aligned trip. And it was very kind of fulfilling for me because I'd always wanted to do it. I remember at 5 making that wish. I really want to see the Taj Mahal one day. I seeing it in a book, and then
Uh,
I did, and I was like, oh my God, this is
oh my God. That's
kind of
amazing. Did it
wild.
was 100% there? Did it live up to the hype? Was it like as stunning in real life?
You know what, Erica? It did. And the best thing about it
Good.
is my mum is very British. It really did. I actually had a very deep spiritual experience there where I saw my entire life flash towards me.
Oh my God.
no word of no word of a lie. But funny thing was, as we were kind of approaching it, my mum turned around to me in classic British fashion and said, "Oh, darling, I do hope this is everything you've ever wanted it to be." And I was, and yeah, and it was. So I'm very grateful to that. I feel very lucky to, to have kind of had good opportunity despite everything that I have been through as well, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. And just one last thing too, your life path. I think it's funny you said your friend jokes that you're very good at manifesting things through other people, but that also is 11 energy too, because 11 gets into alignment and 11's the leader, and you work with like a team because it is 1 + 1, 2, a higher vibration of 2. So an 11 actually naturally is good at manifesting through collaborations through other people. So that is your that's why you're good at it. It's your natural energy.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that. So that's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so next we have your expression number, also sometimes known as your destiny number. And this is just how your energy best expresses itself. I know whenever I go to explain it and I'm like, your expression number is how you express yourself. Like I'm always trying to think of more words for it, but I feel like that's just the best way. It really is your how. Like your life path is your what. Like you're an 11. You're a spiritual leader, you're meant to inspire others, and your expression is how you go about it. It's also because it's your destiny, it's what you're meant to grow into.
Okay.
And for this, you are a 4, which 4 is the number of like hard work, foundations, very like getting organized. I think of it as like Virgo energy. Like you, 4 likes things like neat and tidy. 4
Yeah.
likes making a plan. So for you, it's like you are this 11. You are meant to help others, inspire others, be a leader. And you do that by building these foundations, by building this foundational work in a way that no one's ever done before. And because you are the 11, which is like a master manifester, for an expression 4, the more you make your detailed list of what it is exactly you want, that's going to help you call it in that much faster. So, like you said with your love, you made a list of what you wanted in your love life and it happened. So and same, your partner said the same thing, also a life path 11, you know? So for you, yeah, as much as you can make a detailed plan, that's going to help your soul just come through that much more.
Do you know what? It's really interesting. Whenever I give talks, I talk about laying the foundations because I know for me, that is really important because I have this theory of like how the energy we bring to the foundation is the energy that it can grow from. So we don't want to grow things from the foundations being rocky. So for me, that makes so much sense what you shared. And yeah, I'm obviously a Virgo rising as well. So I think I do like things being very organized. And I feel a lot of safety in that as well. Getting all my ducks in a row, making a good plan, laying out the foundations. And then I think it can feel like more fun to do, you know?
I love that. And I love that you have the Virgo rising. So it's like your soul has this double energy of like, okay, I need to be organized, make a plan, get things done. But that's incredible. You always talk about foundations because that literally is how your soul best expresses itself by building those foundations.
That's
And it is your
wild.
destiny to create strong foundations in this leadership inspirational role that you are doing. So I love that. So next we have your soul urge number. So this is your why. This is what motivates you, what gets you going. For you, it's a 5. So this is fun because I feel like it's very contrasting energy to the 4 because 4 is so rigid. 4 loves routine. 4 loves structure. And then we have 5, which is like freedom, It's go with the flow energy. It's surrender. 5 is like the adventurer, has a sense of wanderlust, travel. 5 is also very like non-conforming in the sense of like fives usually are like, I can't be put in a box. Why is society built like this? I don't like that this traditional path is like this. I'm
Oh,
going to do my own. So is this very you?
I mean, Erica, I was having a conversation with, so I had a bit of an I had an inner crisis the other night because my inner teenager that used to like, I refuse to conform. This isn't right. I mean, I have lived my life by this, and it's often got me into trouble in the past before because, yeah, I have struggled with how society, I've struggled with a lot of things. So yeah, so I would say that has been, yeah, I had a deep kind of healing post the Cancer new moon that we've just passed through. I had a deep kind of healing around this of like, I need to go back to that version of me and tell her it's okay. It's safe to be fully you're allowed to be different. You don't have to conform. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Oh my God.
that's been my big, I'd say that's been a struggle because obviously when you are like that, you are going to come up against blocks sometimes, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I love that. That is so spot on. And yeah, so it's like your soul, like the reason you're doing all this is because you want, you want a different life and you want to also, with your life path 11, you want to show other people that a different life is okay. Like a different life is normal, a different life is possible, that we're all like meant to have different lives, that like we shouldn't
Yeah,
be this cookie cutter of each other. And you also like just long for like freedom and adventure. And that also kind of makes sense too when we were talking earlier about how we both like love like over the top romance. Like a 5 just loves kind of like the unrealistic fantasy, realizing that other people's expectations of how life and especially love should go, like can't be it. That you can have like the wildest over the top, like movie worthy rom com as love.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm all for over the top movie-esque rom-coms. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it's so fun. Yeah, I love a good 5 number. And also too, 5, the energy of 5 really loves like celebration. They love parties, a good time. So it's like you are kind of motivated by the idea that it's like, okay, like I can help people and when they win, when they get it done, like we can all celebrate together.
Yeah, definitely.
So next we have your personality number. So this I think of
Mhm.
kind of like a rising sign, and this is how other people view you. It's like the version of you that comes off to other people. And
Oh,
you are an 8. So that means that you are very magnetic. And I agree with this because I feel like whenever we've chatted, like you are just so light and you are so like friendly and bubbly and just so fun. And I'm like, oh, I love talking to Hannah. Like I want to talk to Hannah more, you know? So I feel like that you really do embody that 8 energy. And 8 is also just people who live like bigger, bolder lives in the sense that you are destined for more. People know that you're successful. They see you as successful. They see you as somebody who can manifest, somebody very magical. 8 is like the number of magic too. So whether you realize it or not, people see you as this like beautiful, bold, magnetic manifester.
oh well, I appreciate that, and yeah, I love that, and thank you as well for saying that. So yeah, it's so interesting when you talk about all this stuff because even me hearing it now, like it's wild how this is who makes us who we are, and it makes so much sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool because it really is like our soul hid the codes of who we're meant to be within our
Mm.
name and within our birthday. And it's just cool to like, dive in and to discover all of this. And yeah, I think, numbers like the soul urge, the personality, and the balance, which we'll get to next, is really cool because a lot of people don't know about them. A lot of people just know about like, oh, my life path, if they know
Yeah.
that at all. So it's cool to even be like, oh yeah, there's a personality number too. Like this is how others see you. Awesome. So next we have your balance number. So your balance number is how you de-stress. It's how you come back into alignment, how you come back into literal balance. And for you, I feel like based on everything you've said, this one makes so much sense. You are a 7, which is spirituality, alignment, intuition. So for you, when you are stressed, you come back by diving into your spiritual tools. So it makes sense what you were talking about, how you always loved all the witchy stuff. So, pulling oracle cards or meditating, connecting to your spirit guides, things like that. The seven energy is also very introverted. So even just like taking time to be
Mm,
by yourself and just think, just go
yeah.
through everything and just think, that would really help you get back into alignment.
That is me to a key because even though I've got this very kind of extroverted personality, I actually do need that introverted time to like reset. And
Yeah.
what you've said about the spiritual stuff to come back to, I would say pretty much throughout my whole entire life, since I was a teen, I've had to pretty much meditate every single day. Like
Wow.
that is my like secret sauce to like being able to be back. Even like when I laugh about this, when I broke my leg a couple of years ago, when I got back from the hospital, I still had to like meditate after before I went to bed, even though it was like very uncomfortable, but I had to do my thing because that was what helped me actually get back in my body and feel safe. So I 100% agree with that, and that me having to kind of like shut the door and take that introverted time, it's definitely 100% me. Like it's really fascinating to hear that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm sure that's helped so much because I know for me too, meditating, I'm not as dedicated. I'll skip a day if I'm very busy. So I love that you just push through and always meditate because it really does help so much. And it just helps like calm the body. And I feel like
Yeah.
it helps it just feel so much better. So that's amazing that you dedicated yourself to doing that like every single day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even if it's like, I always think, even if it's like 5, 10 minutes, like, and I also try not to judge however it's going to look, whether, like just to take those moments and like it grounds me, it gets me back in my body. And I know I need that because I feel like there's so much energy and like I'm out there, I'm feeling it. And then right, I need to now just take that time, put my feet in some salt, like you say, pull some oracle cards, meditate, and just kind of come back to my center. Even like things like yoga chant, like I've
Mm.
chanted on and off for years. I love that. That's another thing. And being able to like breathe as well. That's been really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So next we have your lifetime lesson numbers, also known as the karmic numbers. So these are
Whoa.
lessons that are soul prioritized healing. So usually they kind of carry over from a past lifetime where it might have been something that happened in a past life and you didn't fully learn your lesson. So you have to come back and do it again. Or it's just a lesson that your soul wants to expand upon. It's really what you want to master in this lifetime. And people usually have a couple numbers. You have three numbers. So your lesson numbers are 2, 4, and 7, which I think are interesting because they really kind of meld with the rest of your chart. So your lifetime lesson of 2, 2 is other people, your relationships with others. That's usually like platonic. It could be friendship, family, any coworkers, anything like that. But also too, it does have a bit of that romantic partnership as well, which I think is so interesting that that's a lesson number because you have a life path 11, which 11 really does also break down to 2 as well. So it's like kind of even adding another layer to you needing to work with people, heal from people, even just finding your own peace regardless of other people.
Absolutely. And I think definitely there's been some like in terms of like love and interesting things, there's definitely been some interesting things over the years, shall we say. So that would make sense.
And then you also have the 4, which is work, structure, hard work, which I think is so interesting that it is like your expression number because it is like you kind of have this natural energy. But sometimes 4 in a lifetime lesson capacity, it's about really analyzing like your own foundations and really looking at your life as a whole and like where did I build my foundations? And also sometimes even needing to rebuild your foundations entirely about what you thought life was for you, what it would be, which that seems very spot on for you too.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to do that and kind of, I mean, having to do that from a young age, I would say was really hard.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I've definitely learned a lot of that along the way, for sure.
Yeah, but I think you're doing amazing, and it seems like you've
Thank
built
you.
amazing foundations now, and you're just going to keep growing and growing and doing incredible things. And then we also have the seven, which is intuition, spirituality. So lots of times when people have the seven in their lifetime lessons, that could indicate like a witch wound of sorts, where maybe you had a past life where you had intuitive powers, you were magical, or you were a literal witch, anything like that, and you were persecuted because of that. And so now it's time to like be in this lifetime and be open with your gifts, be okay sharing with your gifts. So I
Yeah.
love that you were just always naturally drawn to it because you definitely had so much magic in a past lifetime.
I mean, I think I've felt that in my body, especially as I've got older. When you talk about that witch wound, I think I've realized that so deeply. I think there have been
Yeah.
moments where I've kind of connected to versions of me and been like, now I understand. Like, so that I think I've known that my whole life. That, like that whole not conforming, that whole thing. And I think it all links to that as well, because I think it was like I just knew it in my soul. And I think being able to put words to it as I got older made a lot of sense for me, because I used to play witches. This is so funny. My childhood best friend at 5 for primary school, we used to play witches all the time. Like, this is like so wild, because like we come from really normal, like we come from like very regular parents, but yeah, so I think that makes a lot of sense for me.
Yeah, it was always in your soul. And I love that in this lifetime, you said that, you were always gravitated towards it and you had people in your life that just accepted it. So I think that's really healing too, that maybe
Yeah.
in a past life, it wasn't accepted. And then in this lifetime, really from this get go, people are like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, play witches or, you do your meditation. So I think that's incredible that like it already seems like it's healing in that sense, which is awesome. And then finally, we have your personal year number, which I know you know. And if you know personal years, they go in cycles from 1 through 9. And you, which we could already tell from the expression on your face, you are in a personal year 9, which is the ending of your cycle. And nines are not always the easiest. And just a disclaimer, anyone going through your 9 year, I am not automatically saying you are going to have a bad year because every year has both. But nines can be very challenging because it's the end of your cycle and you're really tasked with letting things go to make room to start your fresh start. And in this cycle of the 9, if you don't let it go, the universe kind of swoops in and cuts it out for you. So, how has your 9 year been going for you?
Well, do we have a whole other podcast?
Yeah.
It's, shall we say, it has been interesting, and it certainly, I would say, when you say about the universe coming along, I
Mhm.
have 100% felt that, like all of that. And someone else around me who is going through that year 9 as well, we have both collectively felt the effects of a year 9. And the interesting thing is, my last year 9 was actually personally worse for me, because it was a breakup year. It was really, really hard.
Oh, wow.
Whereas this, yeah, I mean, I obviously didn't know that at the time, but I've gone back and obviously tracked these things and had a look at it all. And this year's been a different version of a year 9, but boy, has it been a year 9. And do you know what I've learned from personal years? Because I always remember when my personal year 5, I boldly said to somebody, oh, it's going to be a great year. And obviously, this with 5s can be kind of an interesting change, challenge, things unexpected. I mean, it was the year I like broke my leg and like crazy stuff happened, like good things. Like that was
Mhm.
the year I met my partner. And then obviously, weirdly, get this, our love year began in our year 6. So
Yeah,
it
that's
it it
amazing.
what it works. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a year 9 I won't forget this year 9 in a hurry. And obviously it's not over yet, so we'll see. But I think the difference is now I think I can be pragmatic in the sense that I've been through so much in my life that I trust the process. I rather than looking at it as like, what are you doing, life? I'm like, okay, how can I navigate through this? because we can kick and scream, right? We can, have a fit, which is totally acceptable. But I think it's then okay, like now we've got to work through this. So yeah, I mean, I can attest, like, I hope other people, if they're in a year 9 listening, it isn't as tough. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely realized over the years when I've looked back, like how accurate this is. And it's not to scaremonger people, as I'm sure you'd agree, because, but actually, I think awareness is amazing because I think by knowing these things, it gives us the option to choose when we're in the midst of it. Okay, I'm gonna, I'm gonna face this and I'm gonna process this. And if I need to feel bad, I'm gonna feel bad. And I think that's definitely what I've been able to do this year. It's not been easy, but it's definitely been a challenge. So, you
Yeah.
know, we're halfway through, so pray for me still.
You got this. You could do it. And I love the vibe of how is this happening for me? Like, okay, universe, you're throwing this my way. How can I make the best of it? And that is, I think, so important and such a great way to handle the 9. And don't worry, because you know what? You're clearing it all out and you're starting your new cycle. You're 6 months away, actually less than 6 months. You're less than 6 months away from your year 1, which is going to feel like a breath of fresh air. So that was so fun to go through all your numerology. What is one of the best pieces of advice that you've ever received that you like to live by every day?
Mm. I think for me, it's looking at what you can control and what you can't control, because
Oh,
ultimately there are things in life, no matter how much we try to hold on to them or even become obsessed with them. Look at me with the whole, I was so obsessed with healing, and I realized I was chasing something in the way, you talk about in my life path lessons of like learning to surrender and stuff. I think it's, yes, meeting ourselves where we're at, doing the things we can, but then being able to step back and to choose life and live in joy. Because honestly, like, there have been so many times where I've thought I've had to live up to, oh, people, you're the sick person, like no one should see you having fun. They're going to not think, like all these kind of weird narratives. And I just want to say to people, like, live your life. Like, life is so short. Like, I look back to me getting that diagnosis a couple of years ago. It was like this deep voice within me came down and was like, Hannah, you have a choice, love or fear. And I was like, in that moment, I knew I was going to choose love, because at the end of the day, like, we don't know what's around the corner. And it doesn't matter how much we do everything right. Yes, we're going to support ourselves, help ourselves, and doing all the right things are great. We know this. We love all of this stuff. But I think as well, it's making sure we're truly living.
yes. I love
Truly.
that. That's so important. So amazing. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. This was so incredible to chat to you. You are so inspiring, a true life path 11. If you want to tell everyone where they could follow you or if there's anything that you're working on lately.
Yeah. So find me on Instagram, thehannahwallace.com. I have a website called www.hannah-wallace.com. Also, if you want to dive deeper into kind of my musings, please go and read my Substack. I love doing this. It's kind of like something I do where I just write my heart out once a week, every other week, and it's called Notes on Grace. And I think it sums up everything we've talked about today very much. And I would love anyone to go and watch my TED Talk, which is definitely different because my TED Talk is not so spiritual, shall we say. It's actually real life. And I'm really proud of that. And it's called The Key to Thriving with Disability. So I would love people to go and see that and watch it and even share it, because this is something that can happen to anyone. So but yeah, that's me. And thank you, Erica, just for eloquently sharing all of that. I think you've explained it in a way that is so simple but in so much depth that even if someone didn't get this, it would make sense. So thank you for sharing in that way.
Aw, thank you. That's amazing. And you're amazing. So glad we had to have this chat. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye. You can book your own numerology reading with me. You can head to my website or head to spiritandsoulstudio.com/Erica to book your personal numerology reading. And also you can pre-order my book, Enchanted Numerology from Muse Oracle Press, arriving December 2026. And this book is incredible because not only does it teach you about all your calculations, but it provides you with different meditations and journaling prompts and just overall guidance to help you work specifically with your numbers.